Mike Tyson's story is one of the most powerful journeys of transformation the world has ever seen. It begins in the darkest corners of Brooklyn, New York, where survival was not guaranteed, and where a young boy named Michael Gerard Tyson learned the meaning of fear long before he learned the meaning of hope. Tyson was born into extreme poverty, surrounded by crime, violence, and chaos. His neighborhood was a battlefield, his home unstable, and his childhood full of wounds no child should ever experience. He grew up without a father, and his mother struggled to keep the family afloat, often moving from one place to another with no sense of stability. Tyson was shy, quiet, and often a target for bullies who saw him as vulnerable and weak. Kids beat him, stole his clothes, mocked him, and reminded him daily that he was nothing. And for a long time, he believed them. By the age of 10, Tyson was already drifting into the streets. He found belonging in groups that lived by the rules of survival, not morality. These kids fought, stole, and broke into stores, not because they wanted to rebel, but because life left them no other path. Tyson was arrested again and again, each time sinking deeper into a future society said he was destined for. Nobody looked at him and saw potential. Nobody believed he could be anything but a criminal. At just 13 years old, Tyson had been arrested more than 30 times. But his story was only beginning. Inside a juvenile detention center, something unexpected happened. A counselor noticed Tyson's unusual strength, his massive hands, and the natural ferocity with which he moved. He recommended Tyson meet a legendary boxing trainer named Cus D'Amato, a man who had shaped champions and understood broken souls like few others could. When Cus first saw Tyson hit the pads, he didn't just see power. He saw destiny. He saw a boy who had lived through so much pain that his heart burned with a fire the world wasn't ready for. To Cus, Tyson wasn't a criminal. He was a future world champion. Cus took Tyson under his wing, offering him something he had never experienced: love, discipline, structure, guidance, and belief. Cus became the father Tyson never had. He taught him not only how to fight, but how to live. Tyson would wake up before sunrise to train, run miles in the cold, and spend hours perfecting his movements. He studied boxing legends, watched old fight footage, and learned how to transform his suffering into strength. Cus repeated the same sentence to him every day: "You are going to be the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of boxing." And for the first time, Tyson believed he could become something great. Under Cus's training, Tyson developed speed, power, discipline, and an incredible level of mental focus. The shy, bullied boy transformed into a warrior. But life, as always, did not let Tyson rise without testing him. Just as he was getting close to his professional career, just when Tyson finally felt loved, supported, and understood, Cus D'Amato passed away. Tyson was shattered. He lost the only person who ever looked at him and saw potential. He cried endlessly, feeling abandoned and alone once again. But even in his grief, Tyson remembered his promise to become what Cus told him he would be. With determination burning inside him, Tyson entered the professional boxing world with explosive force. He was fast, ferocious, disciplined, and unstoppable. His fights rarely lasted long. Opponents feared his presence before even stepping into the ring. Tyson didn't just fight, he unleashed years of pain, trauma, and hunger for respect with every punch. Commentators described him as a force of nature, a machine, a fighter like boxing had never seen before. And in 1986, at only 20 years old, Mike Tyson fulfilled Cus's prophecy. He became the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of boxing. The world celebrated him. Newspapers and cameras followed him everywhere. He had money, fame, attention, and the world at his feet. But success came with a price he was not prepared to pay. Behind the scenes, Tyson was still fighting demons from his past. Loneliness, anger, unresolved trauma, and manipulation from people around him. Many took advantage of him. Friends turned into enemies. His personal life spiraled into confusion. The discipline Cus taught him began to fade as distractions surrounded him. The world saw the champion, but inside, Tyson was still the broken boy from Brooklyn, trying to navigate a life he was never trained for. The fall came fast and hard. Tyson faced controversies, betrayal, financial disasters, and eventually a prison sentence that shocked the world. Reporters mocked him. Fans doubted him. Critics called him finished. Tyson hit rock bottom. He lost his freedom, his reputation, and the respect he fought so hard to earn. But what makes Mike Tyson extraordinary is not that he became champion. It's that he rose after being completely destroyed. In prison, Tyson began to rebuild his mind. He read books, reflected on his mistakes, learned discipline again, prayed, and discovered a deeper version of himself. He realized that true strength is not in knocking someone out. It's in controlling your inner battles. When he was released, he faced the world with humility instead of anger. He returned to boxing, not because he wanted fame, but because he wanted redemption. Though he was no longer the unstoppable machine he once was, his courage to come back inspired million. Tyson fought, won, lost, and learned. But the biggest transformation of his life happened outside the ring. He learned to forgive, to let go, to heal. He became a father, a husband, an actor, a businessman, and a global icon. He built a life of peace from a childhood of chaos. He started helping people, telling his story openly, inspiring others to overcome trauma. The world watched as the most feared fighter in history became a symbol of emotional growth, wisdom, and humility. Mike Tyson's success is not defined by his victories. It is defined by his resilience. He teaches us that no matter where you start, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how broken your past may be, you always have the power to rewrite your story. Tyson went from poverty to global fame, from prison to peace, from being feared to being loved. He proved that your past does not decide your future. Your choices do. He proved that the world can knock you down, but it cannot stop you from rising unless you allow it. And he proved that a person's true strength is not in how hard they can hit, but in how many times they can rise after being hit. Today, Mike Tyson stands as a reminder that humans are capable of incredible transformation, that even the most painful beginnings can lead to powerful destinies, that greatness is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Tyson's journey is the story of a warrior, a survivor, and a man who refused to let darkness win. His life tells us one thing: as long as you are willing to keep fighting, your story is never over.